It's Monday night, and you know what that means. The Jersey First Television Network proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And yes, I am New Jersey's premier and now 10-time award-winning journalist. Top Latino was voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. And certainly, folks, I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, the generational talent in New Jersey media, Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday. Happy Columbus Day to you all. I know many of you had off today, whether you work in the public or private sector. Got to enjoy a little time off there to celebrate Columbus Day, folks. That's what I celebrate today. I don't know about any of you, but that's what I do today here on the 14th of October. And of course, I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever. Then, however, you may be doing so on the Jersey First Television Network Facebook page via StreamYard, also on the Jersey First Television Network YouTube page, and of course, on all of our social media platforms. And folks, again, I can't say it enough. Thank you to everyone that takes the time to share our content. Of course, if you haven't done so already, make sure you like us on Facebook. Oh, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, for all of you that are on YouTube, for one reason or another, maybe you're listening to podcasts like this one, checking out sports, other political shows, cooking, recipes, comic book movie, spoilers, whatever. You're always on YouTube for something. Check out Jersey First TV when you do that. Like, comment, and share. Folks, we appreciate your support here on Jersey First TV. And of course, whether you get your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First and take it with you anywhere at any time. And I cannot say enough, ladies and gentlemen, what a privilege it is to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Jersey First Television Network. And of course, brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative premiere every Thursday, hosted by my good friend and the amazing Elizabeth Nader. And brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Malillo and Stephen Rambolo also premiere on Thursdays. Of course, check the websites and the social media handles for more start times, of course. And every Monday night, check your local listings, of course. Check out Real Talk with Fernando Uribe right here on the Jersey First Television Network. Folks, you want to stick around for final thoughts? I have a lot to say because it seems like there's a lot of chatter, obviously, on social media, in the news, of course, about who's toxic in New Jersey politics, right? And there seems to be some concern by NJ.com and NJ Advanced Media about, well, there's certain individuals that are taking New Jersey to the far right and their toxicity needs to be exposed. No, folks, it's not their toxicity, but the toxicity of those behind me. As you can see, you recognize a lot of faces on there. I'm going to tell you why these individuals are taking New Jersey politics to the far left. And folks, that's even more toxic than you realize. You want to stick around for final thoughts. I'm going to have a lot to say about all of the aforementioned here on the screen because, folks, when it comes to toxicity in New Jersey politics, these people, they're leading the way. Of course, also, you want to stick around for special commentaries during the evening. Of course, folks, I'll also be talking about a great event that I'll be at tomorrow night, folks, from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. I'll be in Ewing, New Jersey, on the beautiful campus of the College of New Jersey, as I'll be hosting a live town hall in person with Green Party House candidates, as you can see listed there. You can obviously attend in person. For more information, check out the Green Party website at www.gpnj.org. And also, of course, you can watch the show live on Facebook via StreamYard, also on the Jersey First YouTube page, as well as on Twitter, as well as Instagram and LinkedIn. I'll be talking to individuals running in different congressional districts for the House of Representatives. With folks with 21 days to go, you have some options in House races here in the state of New Jersey, and I'll be talking to them live on stage at the College of New Jersey. So, folks, if you're in the area tomorrow night, come by TCNJ and check out New Jersey's premier journalists, as I will be hosting this very exciting Green Town Hall tomorrow night, October the 15th. Once again, folks, from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Again, brought to you by Jersey First TV. Folks, I also want to remind you about this Saturday night, my annual breast cancer awareness event. It is a professor's quest to save breasts to benefit the American Cancer Society. Once again, all proceeds benefit making strides against breast cancer. And I'll be hosting it at the world-famous Ventanas at the Modern in Fort Lee. Folks, more information, I'll provide it later on in the broadcast. But again, in the meantime, Google a professor's quest to save breasts 2024 for more information. We'll have plenty of raffles, excellent music by DJ David Jones. That and much more, folks. We'll tell you a little bit more about it later on in the program. Folks, as you can see there, obviously we're rocking pink here on the show. And as I said before, happy Columbus Day. I'll tell you a little bit more about why it really is Columbus Day and why so much, why there's so much hysteria by the woke fools in New Jersey media and activism and politics, and why they get so easily triggered when you just say happy Columbus Day. More on that a little bit later during a special commentary. Yes, folks, as I mentioned, of course, we are rocking pink. We're thinking pink here on the show all throughout Breast Cancer Awareness Month here in October. We'll be rocking pink to raise awareness about breast cancer, and certainly we'll be talking more about the American Cancer Society later in the program. But folks, you know what? There's a lot to talk about in New Jersey, and tonight we have an amazing double main event for you. We'll be talking about the business climate in New Jersey, of course, and who better to talk to about that than the distinguished president of the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here in the state of New Jersey, and a host of the incredible show on NJPBS. Que pasa? If you haven't watched it, I don't know what you're waiting for. Folks, it's the host and president, once again, of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here in New Jersey, my good friend and a big fan of this show, Carlos Medina, joins us live on Real Talk. Carlos, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing, Fernando?
Que pasa, hombre? How's your
pasa,
summer?
Chico?
How was your summer?
Good. Dealing with some family health issues, but plugging away.
Okay, well, again, my prayers go out to you, man. And certainly with health issues, it's always so difficult with family members. So again, my heart and prayers go out to you here on behalf of everyone here at Jersey First TV. Carlos, good to see you, man. And folks, if you're not familiar with the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, check out their website at shccnj.org. You can check out, obviously, all the pertinent information there about membership, educational programs that they provide, the signature events that we'll get more into in a little bit at the Chamber, of course, community events, employment opportunities, that and much more. Check it out once again at www.shccnj.org. Don't forget to like them on Facebook or follow them on X and also on Instagram. And don't forget to check them out on YouTube and also on LinkedIn. I'll make sure I got all that out of the way, Carlos, and give you a nice plug here. So, Carlos, really, when we think about today's business climate, we know that Hispanic entrepreneurship, I would argue, is at an all-time high. I was at the diversity breakfast just a few weeks ago. And by the way, thank you for that invite. I'm really, really grateful for that. I mean, that room was packed at the Brownstone over there in Patterson. I think it's a reflection about Hispanics and how serious they are about being entrepreneurs. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's like I compare it to drinking out of a fire hose, the amount of entrepreneurs that are in our ecosystem just looking for guidance, looking for, they're not looking for a hand up. They're not looking for a handout. They're looking for a hand up. And the chamber provides training, a lot of free tools for them. We connect them with vendors, procurement. I think we do a good job. We're currently, NJ Biz ranked us as the largest chamber, I believe, the last 7 years for the state of New Jersey by members. We're about 7,000 members, which is a far cry. When I kind of took over 13 years ago, I think we might have been 500 members. So it's been a journey. It's been tough, but very, very rewarding. I don't get paid necessarily monetarily all the work I've done, but I certainly get a lot of good karma, good feelings from the members. And at the end of the day, just wanting to put a positive light on people that are doing good. And sometimes the media says they're a drain or an anchor on society, which isn't fair, because Hispanic entrepreneurs are driving the economy in the United States and certainly in New Jersey.
No, absolutely. And it's interesting, again, a shout out to the CEO of the chamber as well, Luis de la Hoz, fellow Colombiano there, obviously, and a shout out to him. He's always, I thought you live, I'm convinced that there must be like some IV that you have with Adderall or maybe like Red Bull or something, Carlos. But Luis, I think, has Red Bull in his bloodstream at all times. That guy's moving and shaking. He's moving. He's so active. He's so engaged with businesses.
He loves to travel. He was in Mexico. He caught up with the folks at EDA. So he's a valuable resource, definitely. No, listen, he has a great heart.
You guys make a great team in terms of what you're doing with the chamber. And let's sort of like break this down more, because, again, you've been on the program before. I'm one of those individuals that sort of rails against how New Jersey is so unaffordable to live in. It continues to be that. Are you seeing business owners, again, Hispanic business owners, maybe even showing that concern? Because forget about living here. How about just owning a business here, whether it's property values, whether it's rent, whether it is, subsidizing property, whatever the case may be. Yeah. What do you think are the biggest hurdles that Hispanic entrepreneurs right now facing New Jersey, Carlos?
It's still, we poll pretty often to our membership, and even in Chamber Master, which is the software which houses those 7,000 members. When we poll, overwhelmingly, it's access to capital is still the issue. We work with a lot of banking institution and lenders to try to make it an easier process. And some of the free classes we have, you actually graduate with a business plan, which the idea is you bring that business plan to a financial institution to be able to borrow some money to grow and expand your business. So it's still number one. I think we're making a small dent in it, but it's still a challenge. It's still a challenge. The good news is the last 3 years with COVID and with some of the programs from the federal government, there was a lot of dollars through payroll protection plan loans. There were some emergency injury disaster loans, EID loans, that came out through the Small Business Administration. So those really did give a good boost to the economy, both for Hispanic and non-Hispanic businesses. But Fernando, I think it's cultural. Businesses don't have time to complain. They're literally just, working 12, 16 hours a day, but it's hard to get a complaint out of them. They just want to move. They want to do the right thing. They look for guidance, but they're not a big complaining group. They're really just asking questions on how they could improve their business. Sure, they get frustrated if a bank turns them down, but luckily, as the chamber's grown, we're able to work with banks and offer, assistance when they might be going under the underwriting process and letting them know that a Hispanic business person may look a little different from their typical borrower. So we try to convince them to look at different parts of their credit that might be a positive. It might put them over the edge for their loan. So it's still number one, access to capital.
Yeah, and when you think about that, you also think about really the businesses that this capital is trying to get started, right? And again, based on the polling you see internally within the organization, though, Carlos, what are you seeing as perhaps maybe some of the best businesses to start up for Hispanics? And which are the ones that, I don't want to say are a drag or just aren't seeing enough progress soon enough? First thing comes to mind for me, again, if I had to sort of brainstorm and hypothesize, I would say, again, and having worked in nightlife and hospitality myself during grad school, I know how sort of make or break that could be. But I would argue that especially restaurants in New Jersey, there's so much multiculturalism within our community itself. Yep. I'm a foodie. I love to go out to eat with my family, my significant other. I mean, I just love to go out and eat. But again, restaurants, lounges, these type of venues, they can be tricky, right?
Of course. And we do have a lot of folks. I won't say we do have a lot of restaurants, but we have a lot of members that are in food. So they might be cooking out of a commercial kitchen and bringing their events to food fairs and festivals. It's just educating them on all the tools they need and all the certifications they need. So when we bring even members to some of our signature events, we rather buy from a member to bring the food, but we've been finding that some of them might not have all the certifications. So we're making another effort to really train our members on having all the proper certifications so they could bring food and cater, et cetera. So I think we're doing a good job. And the more and more it's all about repetition. So, the big feria we do in Middlesex County every year, sometimes we have 200 vendors. Last year, I think we had 1,400 people walk in the room, which is crazy. But that's also a test for some of them to set up the booth, bring their business cards, and really learn how to interact with the general public. Inevitably, they forget something. We didn't remember the business cards. We didn't remember the menu. We didn't remember the coupons to come to the restaurant and, get a discount on your food. But repetition and practice is what we do often with them so that they're able to be at these events and be prepared. And you see the evolution. You see somebody who was shy and perhaps didn't like talking to folks. And when they start telling their story, they get comfortable at the end of the day. And even what you mentioned, Fernando, about the economy, I really press our members. You have to do something you really enjoy doing at the end of the day, especially if you're going to dedicate 12, 16 hours a day to your dream. It has to be something you enjoy doing. And often it's a side hustle that I've had members that are executives at a company, they do a side hustle. They're like, you know what, we're ready to quit our job and we're going to just follow our dream. And, Words can't express how fulfilling that is when you see members doing that, and also paying it forward. We have a gentleman who has a cleaning company. I remember only 10 years ago, really sitting with him to help him with access to capital. And this year in January 24, he literally says, Carlos, I looked at all your events for the year and I have a budget of $20,000. I'm investing in you guys to give back and to promote the chamber. I was floored. I was like, are you the same guy that was trying to borrow money only 10 years ago? He's like, yeah, but I'm doing well. And just like the church recommends you give back, he goes, I really believe you guys helped me. And now I'm going to pay it forward to you and to the other members. And that happens a lot at the chamber. And it's not that we're pushing them. They really are just learning. You know, they're belonging to what we call the familia at the chamber, which really means a lot to us. And, you know, I love examples of members paying it forward and becoming major sponsors in such a short period of time.
Carlos, again, great karma there, I think, to say the least, about what this project represents, right? When it comes to how engaged you and Luis are to helping businesses. And then hearing stories like that, I think, is so fulfilling and uplifting, because it reminds us that, again, we are familia. We are a community that's just trying to make it, whether it's in hospitality, whether it's in banking, whether it's a community bank, whether it's in media, whether it's in journalism, right? I mean, again, we're a community that's trying to, in some instances, to your point about, yes, it's a side hustle that becomes something that you can lean on, that you can make money on, right? And it's something that, listen, I think if we can all sort of uplift each other, that's a good thing for sure. Folks, it's 6:18 here on the East Coast. If you're just joining us live, hey, like, comment, and share right now. My guest is the distinguished president of the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the host of Que Pasa on NJPBS, the great Carlos Medina. Join us live here on Real Talk via the Jersey First Television Network. Carlos, you know, when we think about, and again, sort of the example, I look back to the diversity breakfast over the summer. My goodness, it was like you saw so much, again, diversity in the businesses, not just authors. You saw local, sort of like bigger name sort of banks, right? You saw the Wells Fargo, you would see Santander, but then you saw like small credit unions. And I know sometimes within our community, so, you know, we get a little apprehensive. You know, we think about banks, right? We think about, okay, well, this is where we're going to put our money. Sometimes we get nervous about that. But I would argue that even like credit unions have become a very popular destination for Hispanics and Latinos collectively about where to save our money, where to borrow from, where to set up new accounts. What are you seeing in the rise of credit unions and how prevalent that's become with it?
We have probably about 4 member credit unions that participate at the chamber. There's so much room at our table. It's like, even when attorneys or CPAs, they always want to know who their competitors are. Ironically, with so many members, it's like, guys, there's not enough CPAs or attorneys to cover all of our members. We have a shortage of professionals that need help. So come to the events. I mean, the reason our chamber is growing is because when people invest, we over deliver, they get results, and they come back. And then the next year they do more. So it's not rocket science. We just try to do a good job. We are very careful to under promise and over deliver. But banks, professionals, with 7,000 members and another thousands of people that just come to the events and don't necessarily join, which we don't have a problem with. We just want people that have a good energy and they're willing to work with others, and they believe in the Hispanic business community and in the diverse business community. So if those are things you feel, you're welcome at our table, and we want to do business with you. It's that simple.
Carlos, it's interesting. A lot of people look at the role of an entrepreneur. It's sexy, it's innovative. But what I come across with a lot of people, and I'm not sort of trying to pick out one industry in specifically, but I always see people talking to me privately, say, Fernando, you know, what you do with media. I mean, you work in education already, but you're working in media. You've created a brand. It's a business for you. You know, what do you think is the biggest challenge for you, you know, running a business, right? You know, Fernando, Uribe Media, et cetera, and trying to, you know, sort of branch out and get the word out. I think it's no different than any other business owner, but I think it really requires that commitment, that dedication. It's just like, yes, being an entrepreneur is fulfilling. There's a certain notoriety that comes with it. You got to put in the time. It's sort of like, oye, la gente le gusta la fama, pero no quieren trabajar. You want that notoriety, you got to put in the work, Carlos.
And also what we find is, and I mean, we're very sophisticated in our training. We had a gentleman, it's a couple actually, a husband and wife who do training, but the husband is also an IT expert. So when we started doing the HETP, which is Hispanic Entrepreneurship Training Series, which is our main cohort, we've been doing it about 9 years. We probably have 500 alumni, which is also beautiful to have a nice, strong alumni group. When we do this class, he was able to customize software. So we come in and we do an intake, and our instructors determine Fernando needs 1 hour of legal help, 5 hours of social media, 7 hours with a CPA. That one-on-one is what gets expensive because we're paying bilingual professionals to help, and we want them to be paid fair, obviously. But it's really the magic that happens with that software, with the energy of our professors, with Dr. Borja, who runs the entrepreneurship program. It's really magical at the end of the day what happens with these students and how far they come, and they learn from each other. They pay it forward. During COVID, Luis was on a WhatsApp with, I want to say it was like 200 beauty salons on this WhatsApp. I did not join the chain because my phone would be beeping every 2 minutes. But he taught 4 of them how to go through the PPP process. They got, I think one got 50,000, another got like 70,000. But what was beautiful about this scenario was they then spoke to the other 190 beauty salons, and they all helped each other. We didn't have to get in the middle unless somebody hit a particular snag, and we helped them. But it was pretty seamless. They all taught each other. They paid it forward. And that's why when we talk to EDA and other organizations, we always over-deliver on the amount of applicants and the amount of money received. There was an electric vehicle program. I want to say somebody at EDA said we were like 40% of all the grants that went for electric vehicle, 40% went to Hispanic businesses. Now, I don't know, that was somebody in a hallway. It could be true. It could be slightly off, but we really push our members on the opportunities, because if we don't do it, who's going to do it? You know, they're working. They don't want to think about, we got to go to the kitchen table at 8 and fill out this application. But I mean, Luis, like you said, he's a madman. He'll go into people's accounts. He'll say, share the screen. I mean, he's very hands-on. I'll say he's more hands-on than I am, but it works. Like you said, it's a crazy mix of personalities, but we all are striving for the same thing, which is we're all moving in that same direction, marching towards helping Hispanic entrepreneurs at the end of the day.
Yeah. And also too, again, I'm a data guy, you know, sometime around 2035, which is, I mean, I know people might think, oh, that's 11 years away. El tiempo se va rápido, you know, and before you know it, it's here. Hispanics are going to be the majority in the country, according to census data.
They're going to be majority. And I also love the new work that's being done by Bank of America and some other folks. They've hired the Latino Donor Collaborative to do these studies on the Hispanic gross domestic product. I mean, luckily they chose New Jersey, but we're 5th in the United States for Hispanic gross domestic product. It's $100 billion a year. Wow. It's crazy. I mean, obviously California, places that are 40, 50% Hispanic. We're just little New Jersey. We're 20, 22% Hispanic. We're overperforming if you look at these other states that have so many more residents.
That's right.
But the business climate, we're near New York, we're near Philly. I know those are part of the crazy sopa mix that we're cooking here. But we have the geography, we have the 2 big markets, and we just have really smart immigrants coming here. I mean, the folks coming out of Colombia are blowing my mind. I mean, artificial intelligence. I mean, they're coming very technologically sharp. I mean, it's amazing to me the different talent that comes from Latin America. It's really amazing what I've seen especially the last 2 years.
No, absolutely. And again, even after COVID, we're seeing such an advancement in Hispanic professionals, yep, to your point about that are migrating here, yep, right? And we're seeing that they're entering different fields, whether it be technology and medicine, law, commerce. I mean, it's again, being the son of immigrants, like was with you, Carlos, I think we see that work ethic generationally just filter its way down. And exactly, especially for even if you've immigrated here recently, hopefully legally, right? I mean, I'm trying to get too political on the show, but hopefully, like, the premise is that you see that work ethic, right? We see it contributing to our state's economy. And let's talk about the state economy right now, because I would argue, and again, because the chamber is it's a nonpartisan, non-political organization, but at the end of the day, I mean, you have to work with elected officials. You have to work with Governor Murphy, whoever the next governor is going to be in 2025 after his 2 terms are done. Thank the Lord. But it's a responsibility. I know you and Luis have to sort of balance that sort of very delicate relationship about the chamber itself. And I'm sure maybe you have members that, again, are political in certain ways, but obviously that's not part of what their business model or plan is. And they understand that you and Luis have to, I wouldn't say play politics, but you have to work with who's in Trenton, whoever the Senate president is, whoever the assembly speaker is, whoever the governor is, and not just that, but members of the legislature, municipal government, councilmen, councilwomen, mayors, county executives. What's been the biggest challenge for you and Luis when it comes to sort of navigating the political landmines in New Jersey? Because I'm sure that there are some.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is I think we're established enough that all the candidates, let's say candidates for governor now, they all know that if they're successful, we're going to work with them. So it's not like I want to have a relationship with the people as soon as possible, just so they could know the good work we're doing. And to that end, we're part of a diverse business group, which is headed by Colonel Jeff Cantor from Marlborough, New Jersey. He's a combat veteran. So we have the veterans, we have African-American businesses, Hispanic businesses, LGBTQ businesses, women businesses, Asian businesses. So this group was put together as a result of the disparity study, again, just to have a voice. And funny you mentioned, having relationships. We've met with Mikey Sherrill. We've met with a lot of other senatorial candidates, 6-7 months ago, but also gubernatorial candidates, because we want them to know what we're all about. And we hope they talk about our issues on the campaign and, make an impact from day one. But we hope when we show them, like, peek behind the little black book that we have, they see every year we put out a public report on the training programs that we do. Those are binders of information.
Sure.
I could tell you our chamber, we get good funding because we're good at it, but we have backup. I will warn other chambers or other donors, ask your chamber for backup, ask them for their GuideStar rating. An individual from Chicago, actually a Cuban American from Chicago, put together at the national convention on his own. He just went to GuideStar and he ranked the 10 largest Hispanic chambers nationally, of which New Jersey came out number 6, with a lot of room to grow, because GuideStar probably has data that's about 12 months old for us. So when we do the new GuideStar, we're gonna take a big jump on that list. So I'm proud that we're number 6 out of, again, I'll go back to the earlier statement, California, Florida, all these states with huge Hispanic populations. We're doing good. We're doing good things for the community. And it's not only the Hispanic community. At the end of the day, I've had African-American members take our training classes. I've had Indian, I've had Jewish, I've had military. We're open as long as you're an open-minded person and you present a good application. We only accept about 20% because we've been getting so many applications for the class. But we want to have people that are going to show up every week and do a good job and represent us well at the end of the day, because they're becoming our ambassadors in the business community. But we have a pitch competition. A gentleman, Antojitos, won. You'll probably be seeing more of him as he gets some of the prizes that he won. But it's just a lot of good energy around the chamber in 24 is the good news.
Carlos, let me ask you this. I mean, another event that I was privileged to attend over the summer was sort of the kickoff for the FIFA World Cup coming up in 2 years, right? And obviously the global game, which is football. And, football. I call it football. When I talk about my Dallas Cowboys and how bad they are, or other teams, that's American football. When I talk about football, it's the
my condolences on last night's game. I'm sorry.
It's as long as we beat the Giants and Eagles, that's always like that. That's my ceiling for the year, right? But over the summer, we saw a lot of energy. I know that obviously not just the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce was partnering with, let's say, the Pride Chamber and other organizations, right? I want to pick your brain about this because, listen, I go to sporting events a lot. And I had Gus Benaranda, the executive director of the Pride Chamber, on over the summer. Shout out to Gus. I know he's a big fan of yours. We love him.
Gus is a very fine gentleman.
Great guy. Very hardworking. I think he navigates a lot of landmines because, obviously, in today's political climate, obviously, I think people are asking to get more involved politically. That's not what that Pride Chamber is about. It's about helping LGBTQ business. Having said that,
And he might not tell you, but he also gets a lot of detractors, which unfortunately he gets, hate mail and things like that, which is so sad. It's 2024. Come on.
Yeah, listen, that's unfortunate. Yeah. That's unacceptable. I'm with you on that. But I want to pick your brain about this because I'm a big sports fan, and I go to MetLife quite often. I take my dad to a Jets game every year. I go to the Cowboy-Giants game every year, which is basically a home game for us Cowboy fans. But I like going to MetLife in general, and I do like going to the American Dream Mall. But, Carlos, I got to tell you, man, I'm still very concerned. I mean, obviously, I don't want to sort of put into all one, as they say, a bag of bad apples. But we saw during the Copa America that we saw some facilities that have the best security, not the most organized setup when it came to fan accessibility. And certainly, listen, it's not just that the World Cup is here in the United States. Obviously, we are sharing it with Canada and Mexico as the tournament. But the final game is here at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. And listen, getting to MetLife isn't easy. I drive everywhere. I'm not really the biggest fan of mass transit, but it's interesting and again, there are other things I like to blame Governor Murphy for, but I don't think this is a Governor Murphy problem per se. I think New Jersey transit has been a problem for many governors for many years. I would argue that with less than 2 years to go, I don't feel New Jersey Transit is up to the task here. I don't think that they're really equipped to handle what's coming in 2026. We're talking about millions of people are going to be traveling to the United States, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people are going to be traveling to the New York, New Jersey area for the World Cup. I just am really nervous about what, MetLife is going to be able to do for fans. I know businesses are going to be very ecstatic because we're going to be having so much commerce. People are traveling here, hotels, local businesses, food, nightlife, hospitality. That's great. And I want all these businesses to thrive. I'm just concerned about, I don't think that MetLife, I think New Jersey Transit, I think they're still lagging behind with less than 2 years to go. Am I being a little too hyperbolic here?
I'm more of an optimist. I think if you look at some of the last concerts of Taylor Swift and things of that nature, transit did a good job. They were prepared. We have 2 more years to prepare. I think we'll be ready. I think the problem with transportation in general in this country is it's not a priority. It's not sexy. So we underfund it. If you go to Europe, the trains run a lot smoother. I mean, transit hadn't had an increase in like 11, 12 years in the fares. That's unheard of. If they would have had a built-in 1 or 2% increase, we wouldn't be facing a potential of a shortfall. But it's a combination of, New Jersey not paying close attention to infrastructure, or the United States in general. And we're in a very unique scenario between Philadelphia and New York. So there's an enormous amount of people coming to those events. But again, I'm going to hang my hat on Taylor Swift and some of those concerts that had the stadium completely sold out. So it'll be similar crowds. And I think there's plans to have more activities for fans, like Fan Fest. So not everybody's entering at 4 and leaving at 8. In a perfect world, they get there at 9 in the morning. Some people get there at 10, 11. Like when I've gone to Super Bowls in Arizona, they have a lot of events to break that traffic logjam. So I think the organizers will handle it and will do a good job. Again, we're 2 years away, so I'm more of an optimist. I'm thinking I see good things that Transit's been implementing, so hopefully they continue to do so, and they're all ready for 2026.
No, listen, I'm with you. And as someone that, again, visits MetLife regularly, obviously next summer, I'm excited. World Wrestling Entertainment will bring SummerSlam over 2 nights in July. I'm very excited as a pro wrestling fan. I know that the state's been getting a little grief, though, Carlos. I know you saw it in the news. Apparently, some money from the state budget was allocated to MetLife, obviously, for next summer, for SummerSlam. Listen, I'm as big a WWE fan as there is, but a company that's worth billions of dollars, I don't think needs to be subsidized with taxpayer dollars in New Jersey.
Yeah, I honestly haven't read the article, so I'm not sure if it's something that they're trying to do to almost test, stress test the stadium on, because SummerSlam are big events, as you know more than me. You and Dr. B know more than me, because I know Dr. B is a big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So those 2 days are definitely going to be a good test of mass transit and Ubers and all the other things. But I think those events are also, well, you tell me, those events, I believe, are a lot of tailgating. The events are not like people aren't coming for a 7:00 start time. They're tossing a football in the parking lot. They're drinking, they're barbecuing. in that scenario, I think we're okay. But again, it'll be a good test. Why money was spent, I'm not sure. It might have been to help the stadium, not necessarily the WWE. But
Sure.
I'm not sure. I haven't followed that, to be honest with you.
Actually, another thing too, because next summer, obviously, we have the FIFA World Cup in 2026, but next summer we have the FIFA Club World Cup. So, being a big Real Madrid fan, I would love for them to come to MetLife in the group stage. But I think, to your point, that's going to be another good experiment, right? I mean, again, New Jersey Giants is going to be suffocated with, obviously the responsibility that, listen, it depends on what club teams are going to be placed in New York, New Jersey, right? And for example, I'm not sure if you're a big football fan like me, but if Real Madrid, Chelsea, or Liverpool are coming here, my God, I mean, this area is going to be lit with commerce and tourism and hospitality and food and whatever. I think it's going to be also another big indicator about whether New Jersey Giants can handle that. And I think also, too, it's going to be a big benefit for businesses to see if they're prepared for that influx of not just Americans across the country, but people from Europe, people from Africa, people from Asia. Remember, it's the Club World Cup. So there's a lot of great club teams all throughout the planet that will be converging on the United States. And again, I'm not sure where the final is going to be played, but I'm sure New York and New Jersey are going to have such a massive influx of football fans coming to New York and New Jersey, right?
Yeah. No, it reminds me when we were at that World Cup event, we had 450 people there just for that one event, that American Dream. But all the businesses were very much looking forward to the opportunity to reply to RFPs, RFQs, requests for proposals, requests for qualifications. So we have our members putting things in the portal, but it's still a little early. But certainly when the Super Bowl was in New York, or MetLife last time, New York, New Jersey, they kept on switching the NJ, NY. I was on one of the host committees that had to do with the local spend. And we had members that were successful. Inca Cola, Continental Food, they still do a Super Bowl party every year based on the fact that they got a contract that first year when the Super Bowl was here in the region. But I want to see more of those, because I remember that year trying to get a lot more businesses. And I even had to have one of our CPAs go to a couple of restaurants, because events with food and locations that could handle people were in high demand during the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to say the name, but a couple of restaurants that were really should have been there. I brought all the paperwork. I brought a CPA, but there's that old adage of bringing a horse to water. Sometimes you just can't force the member to apply. But it was frustrating because I saw a lot of low-hanging fruit that was not picked by our members when they certainly should have been. So hopefully, I think we're starting earlier this year with that event we did, and hopefully in 26 and 25 with the club games, we'll be doing a lot better.
No, certainly. Carlos, let me ask you this too, because again, obviously, when it comes to New Jersey's business climate, obviously we've seen a rise in entrepreneurship and certainly different demographics, right? There's veterans chambers of commerce, the pride chambers, Hispanic, Black, Asian, women, right? Female chambers of commerce. Obviously, I'm sure you collaborate with all of them in your capacity as president. What do you see possibly right now as, I know you mentioned capital, but moving away from capital, what do you see also as another difficulty that Hispanic entrepreneurs are facing? Is it maybe, aside from capital, is it also space? I mean, we know that real estate in New Jersey is so prime. It's almost like unchristened land, because developers are really gobbling up a lot of territory. Listen, up by me in Hudson County, I mean, developers see 1 square foot of space, they're going to try to develop it. And I think that it's pricing a lot of New Jerseyans out, a lot of Hispanic families, and even business owners out. Do you see that sort of grievance from business owners that you're talking to in your capacity?
We see it somewhat, Fernando, and I wish that we've been trying to implement a plan where more business owners buy the building that they're renting in. If the governor's office is listening, I would love to experiment with a beta program to help some of these small businesses buy the commercial property they're renting from. Because then you're building in, you're trying to become recession proof. Because as we see, especially in New York and Manhattan, rents are doubling and tripling. You've seen a lot of institutional restaurants and stores just completely have to close shop when, like you said, a developer is able to sell the business for 2 or 3 times what the property's worth. So my advice is always, when we're talking about access to capital to start a business, I always ask, where are you? Is there an opportunity community, that your rental agreement will have a lease with an option to buy. We've even paid to insert that into some contracts out of our pocket with our general counsel, Marco Gonzalez, because we're just trying to protect our members at the end of the day. And that's a protection on inflation, on possibility of rates going up, or just being completely evacuated from your space because they have a new space or they sell the building or whatever it might be. So I'd love to see more folks looking at purchasing the facilities that they're operating out of.
Carlos, when we think about, and folks, if you're just joining us right now, it's 6:39 here on the East Coast. The evening's double main event obviously is ongoing right now. The first half of tonight's double main event, he is the president of the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the host of Que Pasa on NJPBS. The great Carlos Medina join us live here on Real Talk. You know, Carlos, again, not just the president, you're also an attorney, but I gotta talk to you, man. We're fellow journalists, whether we want to call ourselves that or not. Whether some people call us that or not, that's also always up for debate. But obviously, Que Pasa continues to be very successful for you. I think you're already in season 4, right? Or about?
No, I'm finishing 5. I'm finishing 5.
Yeah. I've been a little bit behind. My apologies, but
no problem.
I'm hoping for a welcome back to the show at some point. I mean, again,
it's been a tricky season. Season. People don't respect diverse storytellers as much as we thought they do. So,
well, that's true. And but again, I think in our capacity, listen, and certainly you're on a much bigger platform like NJPBS. Obviously, what I do with Jersey First TV, obviously it's a smaller platform, but the purpose remains the same. It's about being a very select few of people that are doing what we're doing, right? I mean, journalism, especially what I do, opinion journalism, interviewing dignitaries, elected officials, candidates, activists, journalists, whoever. It's a tough job. I mean, because again, you're a great interviewer. There's never a shortage of great guests on Que Pasa. And folks, again, check it out. Obviously on NJPBS when you can. Obviously, season 5.
I want to give you a preview. I got Lisa Colon Zayas and her husband David Zayas, who used to be on Dexter and Oz, and she just won an Emmy for The Bear. I don't know if you've ever seen The Bear.
Yes, I have.
An amazing character on The Bear. Yeah.
So again, your success is overwhelming. Obviously, I think what you're doing is incredible. But we really, we're a small handful of Hispanic, Latino journalists that are doing stuff like this because it's not easy. Obviously, you're trying to schedule guests. You're trying to be on a platform. Obviously, I wouldn't even dare to think that I get the traffic you do. But I think, let's say, for someone like myself who's a smaller brand, I take a lot of pride, and maybe I'm a little braggadocious because I kind of like sticking it to the haters out there. But you have to start somewhere, and you have to start even with a small sample size. And I remember what it was like, getting, a couple hundred views, and I said, all right, let me stick with this. 4 years later, obviously, you see my social media. We're talking about averaging 10,000 views a week, if not more. But I always tell people, hey, if you're looking to get into broadcasting and journalism, listen, things have changed. It's not about going to college and getting a journalism degree. Social media, this technology we're on, for example, Carlos, makes it possible for us to do podcasting. And I keep insisting, and I know there's a lot of old school journalists that don't take what I do seriously, and whatever, that's fine. My traffic says differently. But I think that podcasting and what we're doing, hosting shows like what you do on NJPBS, I think ultimately that's the future of what journalism I feel is going to be.
Yeah, it's tricky. I get frustrated just with the gatekeepers because I'll meet somebody and they have a willingness to be on the show and they'll give me the cell number for their agent or publicist, but then that person gives me like 12 months of runaround. Call me in a week, call me in 7 weeks. They're traveling in Europe. It's just frustrating. I just wish it was a little bit more black and white. The person wants to be on the show, let them be on the show. But I think sometimes some of the gatekeepers think they're the celebrity themselves and they get an ego and they want to treat you a certain way. So it's frustrating. I'm always super polite, and I have a Latina producer this year helping me with a lot of those calls. So she might have a softer call voice than I do. I don't know, but it is one of the areas of frustration is some of the names that the people want to be on. It's just their handlers maybe don't have an interest or they're not getting paid. I remember reaching out to an athlete who one of my board members had given that athlete a lot of money to be at a box for a game to entertain clients. So I called the agent And when they found out it was just to be on a show with no money, they all practically hung up the phone on my face.
I mean,
Meanwhile, my board member had just given them like $30,000. So I thought it was going to be like a slam dunk phone call. And it was more like, well, when they gave me 30, I got my 20%. 20% of nothing is nothing. You need to call somebody else. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's frustrating. No, that's frustrating. I mean, listen, I share in that because I know that when I reach out to elected officials, and I've developed a pretty good brand in 4 years. I mean, obviously, I'm getting really good traffic. And again, I'm not on a major platform. It's not like I'm on NJ Spotlight News or NJPBS or something else. I mean, Jersey First TV, contrary to what some people might say, is a growing platform, and we're getting traffic on here. We're having new projects in 2025, obviously, that I'll be announcing shortly. And again, it's one of those things where you have to start somewhere. And when you reach out to dignitaries, elected officials, again, I'm always about persistence. I think if you're persistent enough and you show that it's a good product, again, if it's a few hundred views, listen, we all start somewhere.
Sure.
But when I tell people, hey, people are going to watch you. I mean, we're doing 10,000 views average, but I mean, we're peaking at 15, 16, 17. Over the summer, we're doing over 20, 21,000 views a week. It's not like a day. It's a week because we do the show once a week. So I always tell people, listen, you want to get seen, come on the show. It'll benefit you. And Carlos, again, I have yet to hear someone complain how podcasting like this doesn't work, because it does. And shows like yours, obviously on a bigger platform like NJPBS, gets a lot of eyes on them. So I applaud you what you're doing. Congratulations on season 5. I'm hoping somewhere in season 6, I don't know, maybe Fernando Uribe shows up there. I don't know. Have your production assistant call me. I'd love to come back on the show.
Tell your agent to return my calls, man.
What's that?
Tell your agent to return my calls.
I'll have to do that. Absolutely. Carlos, before I let you go again, folks, check out the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website. It is www.shccnj.org for all the great educational programs, employment opportunities, membership questions, obviously hot deals, chamber signature events. There's a big one coming up in the League of Municipalities in just a few weeks. Right before the week before Thanksgiving, kind of linked this year, since Thanksgiving is later this year. Great event there. Real quick, I'll give you the last word here tonight on future events and, of course, the future of the Chamber, Carlos.
Sure. The big events are coming up in November, the Tuesday night of the League of Municipalities. And then on December 5th, we have our gala, which we, believe it or not, we already have like 300 tickets sold. I was speaking with our vice president of operations, and she gave me the good news. We anticipate about 500, maybe 550 at the gala. We're working on some unique entertainment, so fingers crossed. It's always a fun event. If there was no entertainment and no music, we'd just have fun with just catching up with the who's who that's in the room. But it's always a fun event. It's definitely the thank you to everybody and the celebration of what a good year 2024 was. So it's a nice recap.
I enjoy going. It's a chance to bust out the tuxedo, as they say, right? Entire affair, bring a hot date with you, and for me, so I'm always excited about that. But Carlos, thank you again. I always appreciate you being a fan of the show, and certainly the great work that you and Luis de la Hoz do with the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Once again, folks, check out www.shccnj.org. Make sure you like them on Facebook, of course. Follow them on Instagram. Also, make sure you follow them on Twitter, and check them out also on LinkedIn and on YouTube for the great work that they do. Carlos, God bless you. And again, one of the things I look forward to is seeing you in Atlantic City. Let's grab a drink at the chamber event, and keep up the great work. And thank you for supporting Jersey First TV.
Thank you, Fernando.
Folks, great stuff there with Carlos Medina, once again, the distinguished president and the host of Que Pasa on NJPBS. Again, folks, if you haven't done so, check it out. Great program, obviously in season 5. Hoping to get on in season 6. Well, we'll see. They always have great guests there at Que Pasa on NJPBS, of course, hosted by the president of the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Carlos Medina. Again, join us here. Folks, don't go anywhere because it is a double main event tonight. Always a lot to talk about. We talked about today's business climate in New Jersey, but you know what? With 21 days to go, it's important to talk about New Jersey's political climate, and why not do that with some of the great candidates running for office in New Jersey. And folks, I got to tell you, this guest is someone I know you're going to be very excited to hear from. She is running for a seat on the East Brunswick Council down in Middlesex County. I remember East Brunswick pretty well during my days living in New Brunswick at Rutgers University, folks. She is a dedicated member of the community, and I got to tell you, someone who I'm really rooting for in 21 days to get past the finish line in East Brunswick and to become the next council person there in that township in Middlesex County. Folks, she is the lovely and very, very determined Lisette Mejia. Join us live now on Real Talk. Lisette, how are you?
Hey, Fernando. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me here tonight.
Great stuff. And again, folks, you know what? I get the exclusives that other journalists don't get here. And when we talk about politics, really, all politics is local. And let's start with that, Lisette. And certainly, I couldn't be prouder of you. I've known you for some time, and I know that you are a hardworking Latina in the community, certainly someone that is very invested in where she lives. And it's always a testament when we see someone who puts their money where their mouth is. Because one thing is about caring where you live, but if you care enough, you want to get involved in municipal government, and that's what you're doing. So tell our audience tonight, what was the epiphany for you to seek a council seat in East Brunswick, New Jersey?
Right, sure. So thank you for that introduction. So this year I'm running for East Brunswick Council, and I've been living in East Brunswick now for 20 years. And getting involved in politics was something I always dreamt of. I actually got my bachelor's degree in political science. I'm very passionate about community, business, and just public policy. You know, I believe everything ties together as a whole. So this year I was actually offered to be a candidate. It was extremely unexpected from a good friend of mine. He lived in East Brunswick for some time, and he recruited me, got me the interview, they screened me, everything went good. So here I am today running a campaign, running my first time to be a part of council. And I'm just honestly really blessed. This is something a lot of young people, I don't really see them getting too active in it. Demographic range really is important. It should be inclusive, for all nationalities, all genders, all ages. So I'm very honored to represent as a Latina, as a first generation here in America. Just taking this opportunity and really making the best of it, of course.
Without question, I mean, you are as qualified as it comes as it pertains to running for local government. And I know you've been very, very involved, and sort of let our audience know, what's your background in public service, Lisette?
So I started public service maybe back like 2-3 years ago. I'm an independent contractor. So my role as an independent contractor to other organizations is to help support their dream and visions, help them grow their business, help them gain connections. So I actually started this position with CASA of Middlesex. So that stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates for Children in Foster Care. And it could be anywhere from home placement to abuse and neglect. And although I'm not an advocate myself, I do work very close with the board. This is a nonprofit, so a lot of my time is volunteered. I'm not compensated for any of my time or value. So I've really taken that to heart, and I pride myself in, this type of work is very important, whether it be for a nonprofit or profit. I think just really advocating for those less in need is very special to me, and this opportunity has really helped me grow within the public and private sector. I've met a lot of wonderful people. I've learned so much about fundraising, about bringing awareness to causes. So I am super grateful that this organization has given me this opportunity, because I feel like it really has helped my vision, giving me more clarity and direction, especially bringing that knowledge and wisdom into public policy, into office.
Now, Lisette, let me ask you this, because it is a municipal race in East Brunswick, and I know that you're running as a Republican.
Yes.
What's sort of the makeup of what East Brunswick is? Because again, for our audience at home, maybe they're not familiar with sort of the political landscape in East Brunswick. Is it a predominantly sort of Democrat registered town? What's the current makeup of the council now? And again, you're running as a Republican with others on the ticket. What do you see, again, really the biggest issues? Because, listen, it's an election year, and we know how tribal and toxic the political climate is. It starts with the top of the ballot, right, with the president of the United States, a Senate seat's up for grabs in New Jersey. All 12 House districts are up for grabs. There's other municipal races. But in East Brunswick, what's going on nationally, like whether it's the woke nonsense that the left permeates, or national issues in East Brunswick. What are the biggest issues that your ticket's running on?
Hmm. So that's a great question. I am running as a Republican, and the majority of our council is actually Democratic, and they are a re-elect party. So this campaign, this election is very interesting. Focusing more on a local aspect. I know there's a big debate on the presidential elections, but in a more local focal point, I feel like some of the biggest challenges we have right now is I feel as though East Brunswick is a very conservative, family oriented town, although our politics don't really reflect that. They are more on the liberal progressive side. I would like to challenge East Brunswick to kind of really open their eyes against this re-elect party and kind of take into consideration and evaluation, where our town is really heading. I don't believe it is a true reflection of the home value of our school systems, of our community. So that is something I am trying to bridge the gap on and connect more with the community. I would love to see the Republicans get a chance in office. I believe it's been some time that we have not had a Republican in office. So this would be a very challenging election this year, and I think it's all about representation and diversity. We cannot just have a council full of Democrats. I do believe there has to be a balance. There has to be some representation on different point of views, different priorities, and just really give that chance, to kind of have a new leadership in our town for sure.
Now, again, when we sort of continue to shave the apple here, I mean, at the end of the day, you mentioned that, again, municipal government, really, as I tell my students all the time, and I tell people, all politics is local.
Right.
And sure, we can harp on the national issues and how bad the economy is under this Democrat president and vice president. And we can talk about issues, how woke you are. And, I would think that, especially in New Jersey, where, I don't care about pronouns. I care about property taxes. I care about cutting spending. I care about responsible municipal government. What are you seeing right now from Democrats in East Brunswick? Are they more focused on the woke nonsense? I mean, do they care more about pronouns and property taxes? Are they really concerned about, garbage collection? Are they making sure that senior services and constituent services can be improved upon? I mean, what's the biggest complaint you're hearing about the Democrats in East Brunswick right now?
Another great question. So I believe there's a few underlying issues right now with our leaders in office being Democrat. Definitely number one, I would say, is a misuse of our budget. So East Brunswick is a very nice town. We are known as the heart of New Jersey. We have a lot of commercial industries, a lot of small businesses. It's very entrepreneur friendly. But over time, we've just seen a collection of non-residential investors coming in over development on Route 18, causing a lot of traffic. Our schools are actually not really up to ranking as they used to be. So definitely my concern is the misuse of budget. Like I said, we're running against a re-elect party. So this is not their first time in office. It's not really an excuse as to why we still have these issues when there's not enough room in our schools for students. We don't have enough local resources to really kind of prepare for the type of I guess population. They're having all this overdevelopment of housing, but it's like, where is the sustainability to kind of like prepare for this, So that's my concern. A lot of people are concerned with that as well, just the overdevelopment. Our school systems, our ranking has kind of gone down a bit. Our education system is not really advocated by the council. They've kind of like separated that, when I believe that they should work together and some type of advocate from council. I understand there's a board of education for a reason, much respect to their authority, but I do believe as a township, we should kind of take leadership in advocating for our families, our taxpayers, our senior citizens, and really focus on the redevelopment where it actually matters and not so much on a corporation franchise location. Like we have to take care of our locals first and make sure we are sustained, make sure we are really properly represented before we allow outsiders to kind of come in and influence everything when they don't live here.
It's interesting you mentioned that about development. I know when I went to Piscataway a few weeks ago to watch Rutgers football live, I mean, driving on the turnpike, getting into Route 18, I mean, I was like, I almost didn't recognize it. I was like, what is going on here? Like, you can see, obviously, you can veer to the left and go to East Brunswick, or just go on Route 18 north and keep continuing to New Brunswick, into, Highland Park and Piscataway. I can't remember ever a time with so much congestion. I mean, my God, it just seems like developers are looking at land in Hudson County, where I'm living in, nearby Bergen County, but even Middlesex County. It's getting so cluttered. And to your point about East Brunswick, it's a shame that that's happening too, because it's probably, displacing lifelong residents in East Brunswick. They can't afford to live there anymore.
That's very true.
And it's I would argue, I think it's disappointing that perhaps the administration in East Brunswick is valuing more the input of developers than I think its residents. Is that fair to say, Lisette?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to portray here. Yeah, exactly.
It's very debilitating. You also mentioned about schools, and some, as you know, I'm as big an advocate as there is about education. I know up here in Hudson County, my mayor is also my state senator. I mean, he has been a champion of going to Trenton and really trying to get some of those dollars from Trenton when it comes to helping municipalities build new schools. Are you seeing maybe a lack of leadership within the Democrat mayor and the council in East Brunswick, where maybe they're not working with legislators in, I'm not sure what district East Brunswick pertains to, but is that also an indictment of the mayor and the council? They're not working with legislators to try to bring dollars back to the township of East Brunswick?
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. Living here for 20 years, I've seen the progression of our town. It's not really conserved to be a township. It's become a little more liberal, a little bit more overpopulated and condensed, where it's almost like a city now. And I know a lot of residents are not happy about that. We take pride in our location being a suburban area with a high-ranking school system, a good home value, a safe community. So I do really see a lack of leadership where we should be relying more on other legislation and really strengthen a local municipality. I see that more on the development side, where they have investors kind of coming in, but not so much on the political side. So that is a little frustrating, because we're not sure, how impactful our council and how reliable they can really be when it comes to public policy, which is a lot more important than just investments and redevelopment.
Lisette, during the summer months, and obviously now into the fall, we got 21 days to go until Election Day. We know that early voting begins in just a couple of weeks, and certainly mail-in ballots have been mailed out. What's been the feedback or the talk on the street, as they say? Again, during the summer, I'm sure you've gone to festivals, events, talking to residents, knocking on doors. With 21 days to go, what's been the feedback you've been getting from people you're talking to?
So I think a lot of people are really looking up to us and looking forward to us representing them as Republicans, number one. And secondly, also just bringing a change, a true community leadership. So there is a lot of expressed concern about the state of our township right now. So I think a lot of people are just frustrated, and they're really looking forward to having some honest, true, sincere leaders, which is, very much reasonable. They deserve it, first and foremost. So just really hearing that firsthand, a lot of people really take us serious in this election. It's an honor to represent them, although I'm just a candidate. It's giving me more insight to really see the power of the position and just being a part of a municipal council. And I just want to let people know that that's something that should not be misused. It's something that should not be self-centered. It really is for the people. So I'm just really hearing that feedback and seeing, having someone say, where's our representation? Like we are their representation. So it's just an honor to truly see the impact that these positions really have to our community.
Lisette, have you gotten any grief about running as a Republican? Because again, being really the only conservative journalist in New Jersey media, I mean, I get some grief from my liberal colleagues, but again, it's just they don't get the same traffic I do. So the hate is real. But for you, for example, running as a Republican, even in a municipal type of election, have you gotten some unnecessary grief? Has there been some backlash? What's been sort of the feedback again from talking to people? Because again, it depends what part of New Jersey you're in. You hear the word Republican, people get just shut down. People, there's always those, vote blue no matter who crowd that are just insufferable. How have you dealt with that?
So honestly, I haven't gotten too much backlash. I think this is because of my personal attitude towards politics. I respect each political party in itself. I don't really see things as blue or red. So when I am approached with someone who may be more liberal, they often tend to ask, "What can you do for me?" Or they often kind of like reflect me towards the presidential campaign. How do I stand on certain policies that don't really have an impact on a local race? So that's one thing I do notice is just maybe a lack of education and really like affiliate information. Just because it's red or blue doesn't define a person and their stance and how they want to help. So I kind of take a personal approach, and I really focus on the public policy aspect of things. I don't focus on personality or opinions. Everything is factual for me. So that is just how I handle things. I like to let people know it's not about affiliation. It's about the work. It's about the representation, the public policy. Yes, I may be more conservative, but that does not mean that I am against any progressive ideas or innovation. Advancement. I think you have to kind of have the best of both worlds in balance. But if I did have to choose a side, I am a Republican, so I will defend, my party.
All right, very nicely said, folks. It's 7:11 here on the East Coast. And if you're just joining us live, folks, it's the second half of tonight's just enormous double main event here, and it's Republican council candidate in the township of East Brunswick, Lisette Mejia, join us live here on Real Talk. Folks, it takes 2 seconds. Like, comment, and share, and let everyone know how much you enjoy Real Talk on the Jersey First Television Network. She joins me here live. Lisette, what are some social media handles or websites or anything that our audience should be made aware of with 21 days to go?
Yes. So we are on Instagram. You can follow me and my fellow candidates. Our handle is rep.eb24. That's on Instagram. We do have an email address. You can connect with us or subscribe to any updates. And that is e.l.j.rep.eb24@gmail.com. So if you just stay active on our social media, we're going to have a lot of events coming up, a lot of opportunities to really meet us, ask us questions, and really dive into the community these last couple weeks.
Lisette, we've gotten to know you as a candidate, and something I do regularly with my guests, especially those that are running for office, whether they're incumbents or candidates themselves, challengers. Let's get to know Lisette, the woman, the person, what I would argue, the great woman that I've gotten to know over time since we've been friends for a while. And obviously I've always seen you at events and we've always collaborated and, interacted. I've always been very grateful for your support of this show and my media brand. So I'm always grateful to you, but let's get to know Lisette, the person here. A little bit of a lightning round. We'll throw some questions out there and some simple one-word answers. I think hopefully we'll get them. So baseball, who's your team?
Ooh, I don't watch baseball.
Okay. I gotta admit, you're the first Puerto Rican I've heard that doesn't like baseball. This is new territory for me.
My goodness. Yeah, but if I did have to choose, I think I like the Yankees, just
Okay,
'cause
cool.
I'm from North Jersey, border New
Sure.
York. So I've always liked, the image of the Yankees. Yeah.
Okay. Now you did mention your background. I know you are Puerto Rican and Honduran, correct?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. So what's I mean, obviously, I'll answer, I'll ask that question a little bit later about food and what you like, but let's continue on with the lightning round. NFL, do you like the NFL at all? Any teams?
Hmm. Oh my goodness. I do not watch the NFL either.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, listen, you're busy in the community, so I mean, sports fans like me sometimes maybe have more time on their hands than you do because you're always out and about, and not just what you're doing running for office, but your activism as well. I mean, you're a big advocate in the community, so I know time is very precious for you. I'm assuming you're not a basketball or hockey fan either. No? Okay. Just curious. Okay, fair enough. Um, MCU or DC movies? You like Marvel Comics or DC Comics? Any movies you like that in that genre?
Okay, I do. I am a fan of both.
Okay.
I did grow up with the comic series, the cartoons at night. So I am a fan of those movies, yes.
Okay. A favorite comic book hero?
Ooh, favorite one? I would say I do love Batman. I am
Okay.
a
Okay.
Batman.
Same here. I mean, he's a human being. He's a very intelligent human being, very resourceful human being. There's no superpowers. I mean, but he's a very gifted human. So I'm with you. I'm a big fan of the Dark Knight as well. You did mention you're Puerto Rican and Honduran. What's the set more like? Is she Puerto Rican or Honduran? I know with me, I think obviously I'm Cuban and Colombian, but everyone will tell you that Fernando's mouth, his attitude, his lack of a filter is total Cuban on Fernando's part. But what do you consider yourself more of?
So my mother is Puerto Rican and my father's Honduran. And I mainly grew up here with my mother's family. So I do consider myself a little bit more on the Puerto Rican side. But I do take full ownership. I am Honduran, I am Puerto Rican, but if I had to relate more to one culture, it would be the Puerto Rican side.
Okay, so favorite cuisine, obviously that's the next question.
Oh, I love all of it. I
Okay.
love all the food. I would say I love the more traditional tropical stuff. I love like a good bacalao with like malanga with the verduras, all that stuff. Like definitely holiday season, the pernil, the rice.
Okay.
I love it all.
Okay. Favorite music, favorite artist or music you like listening to regularly?
Favorite music? Right now, I would say I kind of switched over to more like Christian contemporary music.
Okay.
So I like to just really use that time to kind of like meditate, like deep wine. But besides that, I do love like Latin music, like R&B, a little bit of rap. I like anything, to be honest. I really do appreciate like the arts and music.
Okay. After a long day, a nap, red wine, white wine, beer, or a liquor?
Ooh, a nap.
Nap. Okay. Same here. I'm a big nap person as well. Favorite American president?
Oh, favorite one? I'd have to say Kennedy. Definitely. I feel like that era, that movement, that enlightenment, that boldness. It's just something I really admire about him.
Well, I got to tell you, Lisette, I'm avidly rooting for you. 21 days to go. Folks, the deadline to register to vote, I believe, is coming up soon. Mail-in ballots, obviously, have already been disseminated. Early voting begins next weekend. So, obviously, you have choices in East Brunswick, and certainly with 21 days to go, obviously, you can vote on Election Day, certainly on November the 5th. You have options in the township of East Brunswick, and it starts with my guest here tonight, the lovely Lisette Mejia, obviously here on the show. Lisette, I want to thank you for your time. Obviously, I'm rooting for you. Please get across the finish line. Go get on these 21 days. Show East Brunswick what you and the rest of your ticket is all about. I mean, hopefully, listen, I'm pulling for you. I want you to clean up East Brunswick because God knows it needs a little disinfectant. And I think that disinfectant starts with Lisette Mejia and her ticket and Republicans in East Brunswick. I want to thank you for your time. I'll give you the last word right now.
I just want to say to everyone, thank you for taking the time to watch tonight. I know Fernando does an amazing job, and
Thank you.
I'm truly a fan of how hard you go to bat and you represent, and you are just not afraid, to be censored or shut down, and that is truly what a patriotic spirit is about. And I think that that's something America in a digital age is really lacking right now. We're so overstimulated with a lot of information, a lot of entertainment, that we kind of forget, like, we have a democracy for a reason. The people's voice is always important. So I think this real talk is just amazing. It definitely really represents that. And I just hope to see in the future more advocates for the community. Definitely.
Well, listen, you're one of the best advocates that I know out there, and I wish you the best of luck. Certainly, I'm rooting for you, Lisette, no doubt about it. I mean, I don't like to sort of give a lot of endorsements on this show, but if other journalists like to endorse people, why can't I? So, folks, you have options in East Brunswick on November the 5th. And of course, early voting, as I mentioned, begins next weekend. Mail-in ballots are also available in the township of East Brunswick. And you have a great option right here. My guest tonight, Lisette Mejia, running for town council in East Brunswick, New Jersey, a great township in Middlesex County. It'll get even better if you elect Lisette Mejia in 21 days. Lisette, God bless you. Best of luck. Keep me obviously posted about what goes on. I'll be watching your race on election night in addition to other races, and go get them. And I know you'll be a great, great addition to the township of East Brunswick, and you'll certainly clean it up because it certainly does deserve, I think, a breath of fresh air, and you're definitely it. So God bless you. Thank you for being a fan of the show, and we'll talk again soon here on the Jersey First Television Network. God bless you, Lisette. Take care.
Bless. Good night.
Folks, great stuff there with East Brunswick Council candidate Lisette Mejia. Folks, you have options, as I said before. On November the 5th, Lisette's one of them in that great township in Middlesex County. As I mentioned before, mail-in ballots already are disseminated. Early voting begins next weekend, and certainly you can vote on election day. Folks, 21 days out. We've seen what establishment Democrats in Middlesex County have done to our townships down there. And you know what? You want to clean it up? It starts with Lisette Mejia there in East Brunswick. A great Republican running on that ticket for the Republican Party in East Brunswick, again, on November the 5th, folks. Let's get her across the finish line for everybody out in East Brunswick watching tonight. Get her across the finish line and have her get sworn in on January the 1st as the new council person, along with the rest of her ticket in East Brunswick, New Jersey, coming up in 2025. So again, folks, you have options. Lisette Mejia is certainly one of them. Folks, it's 7:15 here on the East Coast. Again, a great double main event tonight. Obviously, we start off with Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce president and the host of Que Pasa on NJPBS, Carlos Medina. And of course, you just heard from East Brunswick Council candidate Lisette Mejia here on the program. Folks, we don't get a lot of double main events here on the show, but I felt this week it was certainly warranted with two outstanding guests. So if you're just joining us live right now, folks, like, comment, and share. And don't go anywhere because we still got a lot to do here on the program here as we are 20 minutes past the hour at 7 o'clock here on the East Coast. Don't go anywhere because, folks, you know what time it is. It's time for final thoughts. And, folks, let me just give you a perspective here about this guy right behind me, Spencer Kent, one of the clowns that works at NJ.com, as I've mentioned on this program. And I'm going to give you a perspective of what I think was a horrible piece, a hit piece, I would argue, that he decided to publish last week on behalf of NJ.com and the Star Ledger. And what I thought was interesting about Spencer Kent, right? And another propagandist employed at NJ.com and NJ Advanced Media. I mean, to say nothing of the fact that Tom Moran's already employed there, and we all know how useless Tom Moran is. But this guy is somebody that really pissed me off last week. And let me just give you a perspective about why he was just so bad. And a great, interesting article. I mean, I would argue nothing more than a hit piece about what he was doing. Of course, certainly leave it to NJ Spotlight News and Uncle Dave and some of the MILFs that work at NJ Spotlight News to give a platform to someone like Spencer Kent. Right? Now he decides to talk about hate comes to New Jersey and Project Extreme aims to expose it. Right? So again, I'm not going to give you too much of a dialogue here, but it's interesting about Spencer Kent and the audacity of this guy to publish, as you can see there, right? You can see that expose that he had mentioned last week, and talks about launching Project Extreme, right? A 9-month investigation into the burgeoning pockets of toxic radicalism that have developed in traditionally moderate New Jersey, which is really interesting about Spencer. Jesus Christ, folks, 9 months to come up with a name for a child. And the best you come up with is Spencer? Really? But I don't want to go for the low-hanging fruit with Spencer. All right. Now, apparently, he goes on to say that skeptical that political extremism is happening here, question mark. I was too at first, and I won't try to convince you that New Jersey is Michigan or Florida or New York. It's not. But in March, investigative reporter Spencer Kent called one Saturday afternoon too excited and alarmed to wait until Monday. He recited quotes he collected the previous 24 hours while attending political events in the Garden State. Right? Now, of course, he talks about different individuals that he's looking to expose with Project Extreme. Obviously, New Jersey Advanced Media will be presenting a series of investigations, videos, and data visualizations that they claim seek to explain how extremism has flourished here and what impact it's going to have on the 2024 election. Whether it's the dangerous influencers engineering outrage and sowing division, which is not true, Spencer, the wanton targeting of young people on social media, again, I'm not seeing that, and gaming platforms for extreme causes, local politicians and government workers harassed, intimidated, and threatened, imperiling local democracy or the growth of women in radicalism, the Garden State has its own developing crisis, according to Spencer. Right? Which is really interesting. We turn to a team of some of our best journalists, of course, Spencer Kent, along with Matt Gray, Brianna Kucinich, Andre Malloch, and Riley Yates, examining what's happening here and how and why extremism should take root and what, if anything, we can do about it. Now, Project Extreme is generally supported by a grant from the John Farmer Memorial Journalism Fund, the fund established in memory of legendary Star Ledger columnist John Farmer, who died in 2019. Seeks to foster the work that operates at the nexus of local and national news. So, of course, the column goes on to say, as we draw closer to election day and beyond, we'll continue to report on new developments that illustrate how extremist viewpoints have crept into every corner of political discourse. Well, you see, folks, this is the thing about Spencer Kent and why he's a joke, along with NJ.com and New Jersey Advanced Media. Because, folks, if there's ever a group of toxic people in politics in New Jersey, okay, it's not Mike Crispy. It's not former State Senator Edward Durr. It's not Bill Spadea. Okay. It's not Nicole Stauffer. Okay. Or Alexandra Bauer. Right. These are good people. I've gotten to know all of them. Okay. I've gotten to know all of them by going to events, by interviewing them, and getting to know them as not just elected officials, but activists as well. Okay. And let me say this about some of the names that Spencer Kent intends to drag through the mud. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let me put this back up here because I want to have you look at this guy as I'm talking. Okay. This is a guy who has the audacity to go after activists and moms like Nicole Stauffer and Alexandra Bauer. Both women head up the Moms for Liberty chapter in Bergen County, and one heads up the New Jersey Project. Again, good nonprofit organizations that are dedicated to defending parental rights and making sure that our kids in our public schools aren't exposed to left-wing nonsense and woke gibberish. Because God knows, folks, that the alphabet mob, and that's what I call them, because again, if you don't acquiesce to their demands, they develop a mob-like mentality. Okay? But Spencer Kent won't talk about that. Spencer Kent would rather coddle the alphabet mob and all these LGBTQ groups, right, that are pretty much putting their foot on your throats, folks, if you don't refer to the proper pronouns, if you attempt to censor books, right, that are exposing kids as young as 5 years old to content and subject matter that they should not be subjected to. Okay. And there are plenty of organizations in New Jersey and activists within our public schools that expose our kids to, if you remember 4 summers ago, right? The Black Lives Matter movement, right? Wasn't the whole thing about teachers and the NJEA and the AFT all about, oh, we have to make sure that we stand up for people of color and that Black Lives Matter, and we have to, put on a pedestal a career criminal like George Floyd, because that's all BLM did, folks. So when we saw Black Lives Matter activists rioting, looting, destroying public and private property all in the name of a career criminal, folks, that's not slander. George Floyd's criminal abstract is public record. You can download the PDF. All right. But be warned, it's going to take a few pages to print out because it's a lot in this criminal record. Okay. So cry me a river if you expect me to feel sorry for George Floyd. I don't. Because what do we learn about putting up career criminals on a pedestal? We saw cities being burned to the ground. We saw police departments and police stations looted and destroyed, all in the name of standing up for radical extremists. But Spencer Kent won't tell you that. He would rather vilify Alexandra Bauer or Nicole Stuffer. Or go after Mike Crispy, fellow podcaster and journalist, standing up for parental rights and good conservative family values. Same thing with Edward Durr or Bill Speedia. Now, again, maybe Spencer Kent will surprise us, and maybe he'll go after radicals on the far left, because, folks, the audacity of Spencer Kent to talk about, oh, New Jersey's venturing down the rabbit hole of extremism. No, folks, it's not because of right-wingers like myself or any of the aforementioned. The reason that New Jersey has a toxic climate is because what Spencer Kent and the Lollipop Guild and the Mickey Mouse journalists he surrounds himself with, that, again, work for the garbage Star Ledger, that work for the garbage website known as NJ.com. Okay. Now, again, if you want to be consistent, Spencer, what you need to do is maybe expose this extremism. Now, I took it upon myself to create a very nice collage there, as you can see there, folks, okay? As you can see there, okay? Just an insufferable group of people for all different reasons. I'm not trying to get to all of them individually because it's important to do that. Okay, let's start off with Hetty Rosenstein. Folks, an insufferable cat lady and feminist who, let's be honest, typical civil service employee who's never held a real job in her life other than working in government, who used to head up the CWA, the Communication Workers of America Union in New Jersey. And if you look at her social media, folks, this is every bit the insufferable feminist that we hate, who has supported causes. Again, you look at her social media, whether it's cursing out Supreme Court justices, using vulgarity to refer to certain justices that she disagrees with, okay? As if Hetty Rosenstein ever got into law school, the closest she's ever been is walking past a law school, maybe to hit the food court, okay? But this is a woman who continues to be an insufferable agitator on social media and stand up for very toxic left-wing causes, like coddling illegals, which we have a serious problem here in New Jersey, of course, and throughout the country, coddling the alphabet mob, loving taxations on New Jersey residents that work real jobs, unlike Hetty, right? But that's not toxic, Spencer. Or Garden State Equality, another left-wing organization headed up by Christian Fuscarino that pretty much is trying to make sure that they shove the LGBTQ agenda down the throats of school boards. And guess what? Good for school districts that are standing up to Trenton and Garden State Equality. Folks, 5-year-olds don't need to know about sexual intercourse. 5-year-olds don't need to know about nonsense like gender identity. Folks, here's a newsflash, because I took high school biology. Unlike Hetty Rosenstein and Garden State Equality members, just like Lauren Albrecht, another woman who's insufferable, who, again, gets triggered if you misgender someone, but isn't concerned about the cost of living in New Jersey or how left-wing nonsense has destroyed the state. Again, she's all well and good earning money at Garden State Equality. Okay. She's all well and good to make sure that you don't misgender her or make sure you refer to her as her proper identity. This is nonsense. Okay. And I don't mind saying this out loud. Okay. Folks, this is the type of left-wing bullshit that the Star Ledger, NJ.com, and NJ Advanced Media are more than happy to overlook. Okay. Speaking of useless people, let's go to Max Pizarro. Okay. I mean, folks, there's a guy that has a crush on another male by just reenacting the same mustache as Aaron Rodgers on his pathetic New York Jets. It's Max Pizarro. You ever read Insider NJ? Maybe you're one of like 7 people that do on a daily basis. You want to talk about toxic people in New Jersey politics or media? Spencer, why don't you look at Max Pizarro? Okay, when he's not playing dress up as a cowboy, he's writing blatantly dishonest columns and publishing garbage power lists. And by the way, Max, it's October 14th. Because I know you love to, publish the LGBTQ power list and the Black power list and the movers and shakers power list and the policymakers power list. Where's the Hispanic Latino power list? Oh, that's right. That'll require Max to get off his ass and do some real work. We all know Max doesn't do that. Max is lazy. Max Pizarro es un vago. Es vago. Eso no sirve para nada. That's Max Pizarro. Little bilingual there for you. Okay. Another toxic left-wing journalist, okay, who has clear symptoms of Trump derangement syndrome. Okay. Who never once criticizes leadership in Trenton for taxing us to death, for raising tolls on the turnpike, for raising the gas tax. Meanwhile, Max sits at home earning over $100,000 a year for Insider NJ. Folks, have you ever seen a more generous family than the Graham family, who just gives money away to useless people like Max Pizarro? Folks, if Max leaves his house twice a year, that's a lot. And one of them is at the League of Municipalities in Atlantic City, which I'm sure I'll have the displeasure of looking at Max at the Insider NJ party, which, by the way, I'll always enjoy the 2-hour open bar. Thank you, Max. Well, not really Max. It's not his money. It's the Graham family. So thank you in advance for the open bar. Hey, Spencer, you want to talk about toxicity in politics in New Jersey? Why don't you try Max Pizarro? Why don't you try Lauren Albrecht? Why don't you try Garden State Equality? Why don't you try Hetty Rosenstein? Okay. Speaking of toxic people in New Jersey politics, how about Jay Lassiter and his little minions that enable his nonsense, like hyper hysterics, like Maria Rodriguez-Gregg, right? Corin Frankfurt and all these other little minions online that enable Jay Lassiter, right? Another left-wing, crazy radical progressive that doesn't care about what happens in New Jersey. Why? He doesn't work. He doesn't have a job. He's lazy. He lives off his husband's money. So as he gallivants around talking about, well, we need to have more affordable weed. I get it, Jay. You don't have a real job. You don't work. You're out gallivanting around, prancing around with your little minions, on the social scene instead of, having a job and working. But for the rest of us in New Jersey, like myself, that actually have a job and work and pay taxes and, pay property taxes. Yeah. What happens to people, hardworking people like you and I, that's not on your radar. Nor is it for the rest of your little minions that support you and coddle you. Why isn't Spencer Kent talking about Jay Lassiter and the toxicity of his stupidity? Interesting. Or Christina Pinzon, the CEO of Stateside Affairs, another left-wing organization that loves to coddle illegals. So I'm going to sort of bunch in a few of them in there, along with Anjali Malhotra, Miss Photogenic herself, yikes. Or Patty Campos Medina, another insufferable feminist who's done nothing but contribute to the decline of New Jersey. Why? Because just like Anjali Malhotra, Christina Pinzon, Hetty Rosenstein, Jay Lassiter, Lauren Albrecht, Max Pizarro, see, they never look at what's really toxic in New Jersey, and that's illegal immigration. All right? I'm going to give you some numbers here. Okay? I'll give you some numbers so you understand how serious the problem is of illegal immigration in New Jersey. Okay. Currently, right now, again, according to estimates, there are 697,000 illegals living in New Jersey. Okay. And as a result, there are roughly 240,000 US born children due to. So basically, what we have are illegals crossing the border who are already pregnant and having their kids here. And because of the naturalization clause in the 14th Amendment, we can't deport them either. That's a lot of what these illegals do. They come here pregnant, they have their kid in American soil, and guess what? They're citizens. Do you think that matters to Eddie Rosenstein, who has had a real job and doesn't really understand the burden on taxpayers? Or Cristina Pinzon, who we all know, obviously David Wallstein reminded us all that math is not her best subject. Esta bruta que es, right? Or Patty Campos Medina, otra bruta, right? That lives to coddle illegals, right? Let's go for some more numbers here. And as a result of illegals living here, illegal households add 138,441 students to local schools. So, folks, whether it is people that I know that are school teachers that have classrooms at 35, 40, even at times 45 kids, gee, I wonder why. When illegals are coming here, having their kids, and they're flooding our schools. You know who you can thank for that, Spencer? You can thank insufferable activists like Eddie Rosenstein, Cristina Pinzon, Anjali Malhotra, Patty Campos Medina, Lauren Albrecht, Maxi Pizarro, even Charles Style, another useless fossil in his early 90s working for the Bergen Record, who never once talks about the impact of illegal immigration. No, he's another one like Max Pizarro, who ejaculates in his pants anytime he can talk about Donald Trump because of the Trump derangement syndrome. If Charles can even ejaculate in his pants to begin with, that's another conversation. All right? Or Jay Lasser, another useless sociopath that, again, is fixated on weed and Donald Trump, but instead of the harm that illegal immigration is doing to New Jersey. Let's continue with the New Jersey Working Families Party, right? Whose former executive director, Sue Altman, who is running for the House of Representatives in CD7, has a lot to answer for because the New Jersey Working Families Party has lived to coddle illegals, right? Let's go with some more numbers here, right? So what are taxpayers actually supporting? Oh, okay. So in 2023, illegal immigration has cost New Jersey taxpayers $5.27 billion. That's a burden of $1,551 per New Jersey household annually. Of course, the burden they put on healthcare, public assistance, and of course, general government service expenses. Right? But do you think any of these people care? Of course not. They're happy to coddle illegals. Right? Or whether it's Make the Road New Jersey, right? With one of its insufferable, I guess, executive directors, Wing Yung Kong. I mean, forgive me if I didn't pronounce the name correctly. I really couldn't care less. But looking at these organizations that live to coddle illegals, or the Latina Civic Action, or the New Jersey Citizen Action Organization, or the ACLU of New Jersey, or Amol Sinha, the executive director of the ACLU in New Jersey, right? Or here's a real winner here. How about Amy Torres, the executive director of the New Jersey Family Alliance, excuse me, the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, another left-wing organization that lives to coddle illegals. You see, for someone like Amy, who doesn't have a real job either, who lives in downtown Jersey City, folks, the biggest obstacle of her day is to decide, should I have another macchiato or cappuccino and then go about checking my email? She doesn't care of the impact, both societal and fiscal, that illegal immigration has on New Jersey or the country, right? They don't care. Does Spencer Kent and the Mickey Mouse journalists at NJ.com and NJ Advanced Media, have they decided to expose these people? Because I got to tell you, folks, when we talk about what's really harming New Jersey and what's really harming our political climate, it's not far-right extremism. It's these left-wing fools. Speaking of left-wing fools, how about Alan Steinberg? Yes, so I think he's going to celebrate 97 this year. Yeah, sure. Another sociopath working at Insider NJ who exhibits Trump derangement syndrome, right? Who doesn't care about coddling illegals? Who doesn't care about the burden it sheds on tax rates? Of course not, because Alan Steinberg is sitting on his ass at home in Island Park, living on a nice fat pension, right, that he earned during the George W. Bush administration, who, by the way, Alan loves to blow a load in his pants. I doubt he can at 97, but you get what I'm saying, right? Okay? About propping up people like Liz Cheney, whose father and whose boss lied to us 20 years ago and lying us into a war that killed and wounded hundreds of thousands of American servicemen and women. But Alan Steinberg is going to sit there now and lecture you about the dangers of Trump and the dangers of democracy. Where was Alan Steinberg 20 years ago denouncing the actions of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney? Oh, that's right. He was living off a salary, a taxpayer-funded salary. And now he sits on his ass at home. Okay. Raving about Donald Trump and what a threat to democracy. No, folks, you know who's a threat to democracy, especially in New Jersey? You know who is? These fools. Take your pick. So if Spencer Kent has any intellectual honesty, which I doubt he does, because if you read the column, you would know he doesn't. Instead of picking on great Americans and patriots and moms and dads like Alexander Bauer, Nicole Stouffer, Bill Spadia, Mike Crispy, Ed Durr, hey, Spencer, why don't you do a little work for once, real journalism, and look up these fools? Because I can guarantee you, whether it's coddling illegals, whether it's coddling the alphabet mob, whether it's been trying to get into Trenton's ears, right, to burn us with bigger budgets, right, to raise the gas tax, to raise tolls, to take taxpayer dollars and put it into a fund, right, to provide legal representation for illegals, because that's what they've done in the 8 years of Phil Murphy. And you've all been happy to clap along and be like seals at the circus, or waiting for that fish to get dangled. You should be ashamed of yourselves. And I'll say it again. Every single person on that screen behind me should be ashamed of yourselves, because if anyone's done anything to destroy New Jersey, it's you despicable humans. I'm going to name you all once again. Hetty Rosenstein, Garden State Equality, Lauren Albrecht, Max Pizarro, Charles Stile, Jay Lassiter and his little minions, Maria Rodriguez-Gregg, Corinne Frankfurt, all the other useless people on his social media, Christina Pinzon, Patty Campos Medina, everybody at the New Jersey Working Families Party, Ming Wong Kong, right? I think that's her name. Make the Road New Jersey, Latina Civic Action, Amy Torres, the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, Alan Steinberg, Amo Sinha, the ACLU of New Jersey, and the New Jersey Citizen Action. You should all be ashamed of yourselves, because guess what? The reason New Jersey has become a dump, the reason New Jersey has become more expensive to live in, and the reason New Jersey has become unsafe, with illegals running around, exhausting our social services, filling up our classrooms, overcrowding our homes, bringing down the value of homes and real estate in the state, you can thank all of these despicable humans. So if Spencer can add any ounce of, wait for it, it's that 4-syllable word that he works at the Star Ledger at NJ.com and NJ Advanced Media. So it's a prerequisite to be employed there. It's lacking integrity. Folks, don't pay any mind to that Project Extreme, because if there's a real Project Extreme to study in New Jersey, it's these clowns. So if you wonder why New Jersey is becoming a worse state to live in and not a better state to live in, look no further than these useless humans, because that's what's killing New Jersey. It's not right-wing extremism. It's left-wing extremism. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. But then again, when we think about this crowd, do you have any shame to begin with? Spoiler alert, they never did, and they never will. I got to tell you, it's a pleasure to cook all of them, because they deserve to be cooked. Really, seriously, you should be ashamed of yourselves. But we all know you don't have any shame to begin with. And those are my final thoughts. Folks, before we call it a night here, I do want to have a couple of special announcements here for everybody. Obviously, happy Columbus Day to you all. And I can't say enough, folks, it is happy Columbus Day. I'm not going to even acknowledge what the other holiday is, because, again, people don't read history books. Okay? When Columbus came here, again, sailed the ocean blue in 1492 on the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, which I'm sure half of you left-wing idiots and woke fools probably couldn't even name the 3 ships he came on. Okay. Did Columbus do anything different than his ancestors or other people? By the way, to all the left-wing activists and fools here in New Jersey, let me ask you a question. You think the Vikings, when they were migrating throughout Northern Europe, do you think that the Vikings went to different villages and said, hey, by the way, we're going to, come into your territory. Let's sit at a table and maybe negotiate what land is yours and what land is mine. No, folks, Vikings were slaughtering each other in Northern Europe. You think tribes in Africa, they were moving across the continent to different territories? You think they sat around at a table and said, well, you know what? We just happened to cross into your territory. Guess what? Let's come to an understanding about how we can split this land. No, African tribes were slaughtering each other. You think indigenous people in the Americas and Central and South America collectively sat around a table, around a bonfire, and said, hey, como tú puedas, si podemos negociar la tierra aquí, la tierra allá, hey, can we negotiate this land or that land? Can we do something about this? Can we come to an understanding? No, these Indian tribes are slaughtering each other. Okay? So whatever happened post-Columbus, folks, that's been happening since human history. Tribes invade land, and they don't take it by talking, they take it by killing and massacring people. That's just life. That's human history. So this idea or this effort to rename Columbus Day to something else because you want to be woke and you're progressive and you're a social justice warrior. No, you're fools. You're fools. You're useless fools acquiescing to woke nonsense. Happy Columbus Day to you all. Hope you got to enjoy the day off. I know I did. Folks, other important announcements here on the program. Again, I just want to remind you all, coming up tomorrow night, yours truly will be hosting a live town hall on the campus of the College of New Jersey in Ewing. And I'll be talking to Green Party candidates running in different congressional districts here for the House of Representatives. So make sure you join me tomorrow night from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on the campus of the College of New Jersey. As you can see the candidates there. I'll be talking to them about why their candidacy is different than some of the establishment candidates running in all of the 12 congressional districts here in the state of New Jersey. If you can't join us live in person, folks, you can tune in on Facebook Live via StreamYard on the Jersey First page, and of course also on the Jersey First YouTube page, as well as LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, talking about options you have coming up with 21 days to go. And of course, Election Day is right around the corner. We'll be talking about the issues that matter most during election 2024. Folks, also as a reminder, as you see, obviously I'm wearing pink. We're thinking pink here for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this Saturday night at the world-famous Ventanas at the Modern in Fort Lee, I bring you the 2024 edition of A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts to benefit the American Cancer Society. Now, since 2008, I've been proud to partner with the American Cancer Society, folks, in raising over $63,000 to raise awareness during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Joining me this Saturday night will be my incredible co-hosts, Vladimir Carrero, Emily Amato, and Jacqueline Rodriguez. We'll greet you at the door, and we are asking for a suggested donation of $20. Of course, please bring cash, as we'll have wonderful raffle prizes available. We'll have just amazing music by DJ David Jones. And of course, folks, we'll have wonderful networking opportunities all night long. We'll begin at 9 p.m. Eastern time, folks, and we'll be rocking and partying into the late hours, folks, until 2 a.m. Eastern time at the world-famous Ventanas at the Modern, located at 200 Park Avenue in Fort Lee. There is street parking available, obviously meters, and also there is a very affordable parking deck directly across the street from Ventanas. So, hey, it's accessible via the George Washington Bridge, Route 46, the Garden State Parkway, and the New Jersey Turnpike. Of course, why not? Take a ride-sharing app, whether it's Uber or Lyft, to this Saturday night, folks, once again, from 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. for the 2024 edition of A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts. Again, all proceeds from the evening benefit the American Cancer Society. So, again, I want to thank for everybody that has supported over the years. I look forward to seeing you this Saturday night, folks. The weather's going to be perfect. It'll be in the 70s during the day, early 60s at night. So bring a little sweater, look your best. Let's get ready to party. And together, we'll defeat breast cancer once and for all. So we'll see you this Saturday night, October the 19th, at Ventanas at the Modern, folks. for a professor's quest to save breasts. Folks, once again, that's our show for this week. I want to thank our great guests tonight, obviously, and always remember, make sure to check us out on all of our social media. Make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube page for Jersey First TV. Like, comment, and share. It takes 2 seconds to subscribe. You'll be made aware of all our great content there, the Jersey First Television Network. Of course, wherever you get your podcast from Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First and take it with you anywhere at any time. Folks, I can't say enough about what a privilege it is to work with the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Jersey First TV. Of course, brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative premiere every Thursday, hosted by the amazing Elizabeth Nader, and brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Malillo, along with Stephen Rambola premiere every Thursday. Of course, check your local listings. And every Monday Night Live, once again, check your local listings, of course. You'll see the latest edition live in living color of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via the Jersey First Television Network. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Real Talk right here on the Jersey First Television Network. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top Latino as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. And certainly, folks, I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State Media, because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It is I, the generational talent in New Jersey journalism, and of course, the future of New Jersey media. Because, folks, you can't spell future without the letters FU. And guess what else you can't spell without the letters? Fernando Uribe. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy yourselves. Please party responsibly. Let's go Yankees as they begin their quest for their 28th World Series as they begin the American League Championship Series against the Cleveland Indians tonight at Yankee Stadium. Good luck to them, and obviously, good luck to the New York Mets. I'd love to see a Subway Series, and I think many of you would like to as well. Folks, again, take care of yourselves, and again, let's continue raising awareness about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Wear pink whenever you can. Together, we'll defeat breast cancer once and for all. Folks, I'll see you next time here on the Jersey First Television Network. Again, please take care of yourselves. Please party responsibly. And thanks for stopping by. And always remember, stay classy, everyone.